Sam Altman says, I really don't like people saying hi. Because for him, he has to process, the LLMs have to process that entire information, then come back, consume GPU, consume all of this, and just say hi. Okay? So those are very different ways in which it happens, right? I have like a very little time left. I want to show one more video of what's happening in the world. Someone said perplexity, right? How many of you have seen this ad of perplexity? Just 36 seconds. Huh? So, this is what I was doing. So that was a quick ad, right? The reason I wanted to now talk about it is because it's one thing for us to you saw that ad, right? What was happening there? It's not just perfect. Perfectly is not paying me, okay, honestly. I just took it as an example. OpenAI has also come up with and responded to this, right, with a similar offering. But what happens when AI goes and does the shopping for you? There is so much money spent, right, on personalizing services, hyper personalization. Why is that even relevant anymore? What happened UI UX? I was talking to someone who had web development experience, right? But what is the point of a blue website or a red website if the agent is going to just look at the data, see what is best for you, and take an action on top of that? What about marketing? Right? The entire objective of marketing is I want to play with your environment. I'm being a little cynical here, but I want to talk about human biases, right? I go into a shopping complex and I set up this very fancy place because I'm anchoring your thoughts around something. AI agents, can they be instanced? No, right? So if you think of all the workflows, right, they are designed with a human in mind, human interactions. What happens to those workflows? How do we redesign them when we are going to interact with agents directly? And if you think this is a trivial matter, right, see what something as big as Amazon is doing. Amazon has decided to sue Perplexity. For someone to take, someone of this size, to take a litigated path, of course there could be other technical reasons, I'm not getting into this, but it clearly shows that there is something to it, something to think about. If I cannot influence an AI, all the ways I have designed for people to click and shop in one click, everything becomes irrelevant. And I don't have a how do I price this, right? That also becomes very challenging. So these are some of the statistics. I'm not getting into this. I know there is a little less time, but there is a good side to this as well, right? When we say that a lot of jobs are going to get automated, by now you would have realized, right? Like there was one comment about it costing more. So I asked AI, what is it that people will be good? Just before that, a couple of questions. You're all learning management, right? But again, that is also centered on people. How do I manage people? What do you think? People who are good at managing people, will they be good at managing AI? No? Yes? No? Okay. Interesting. But here's the insight I have had from the field so far, right? When I set up an agentic workflow, if I have a person who has experience managing people, they are actually doing a better job than someone very technical. And the reason being, these agents are like autonomous, right? Okay, they have the same kind of, I want to now take some rest, enough work, whatever. So, or I'm gonna hallucinate. I'm gonna pretend that I have given an answer, right? So all of this for you to catch, right? Similar behavior to humans. And part of it is also because the training data has come from humans at the end of the day. So they're more similar in their actions than we would give them credit for. So yes, my answer to it, again, this is an open-ended question. That's why I didn't say yes, no, or what is the answer to it. Is that yes, it is, right? Learning managerial skills for managing humans can actually help you even no matter how much of automation happens or how many AI agents come in. And there are going to be a lot of challenges, right? While it is similar, there are going to be a lot of challenges in multi-agentic systems, a whole set of new challenges. And that's where AI came with this term called AI whisperer. This is, and they came up with this term. Okay, I have no idea how they came up with this term, but I really liked it, right? It is about connecting with AI, it is about governance, it is about ethics, strategy, so on and so forth, right? Someone who is going to talk to AI. It's almost like talking to AI, but understanding, right, what are the limitations, what happens, what does not happen. And finally, right, this is not new. So, how many of you are chess enthusiasts here? You know, good, good. You're aware of what is free chess, freestyle chess? Yes? Okay. I wasn't so much aware, so I'm not going to get into what exactly is freestyle chess. But what I took away from this, right, Gary Kasparov's observation, that if you have a very good machine and you have a strong human, sometimes even a weak human can beat that very good machine, very strong human with some machine with it, as long as they have good processes in place. So the takeaway, right, is that it is not just about humans or AI. We have talked about humans, we have talked about AI, we've talked about collaboration. It's about people, process, and technology, right? The workflow. And that is what really attracted me to what was the topic of the presentation, right? It is about workflows, it is about automation, and it is about AI. Right? So that is a takeaway that I want you to go back to, right? No bingos here. No? Format looks similar, right? But the content is different. So this is, I want to quickly summarize. I know I'm running out of time, and maybe open this up for a few. I think I have time for a couple of question and answers. But this is what I want, right? You to concentrate on. Right? They're going to be your digital core, right? It may not be a humanoid standing next to you doing something, right? But in your digital work, it will almost be similar, right? There will be certain parts of the workflow which is going to be done by AI, which also means that, right, if you are going to do AI, you're going to be in a better position than someone who says, there are too many risks, I'm not going to do, right? So expect some AI in your workflow, which is why I will also encourage you to start playing around with Claude, with ChatGPT, with so on and co-pilots of the work, right? Even if you don't code initially, I would see that you see that it is very simple to actually go ahead and do this. There are finally, a lot of ethical challenges, technology which is constantly going to change. But at the end of the day, it is not just, like I said, about the technology, it is about people. People who are good at managing other people, who have to manage workflows. It is also about processes that need to be there. And it is not just going to be about shovels, right? When you think of AI, you think of media and say, okay, there's a gold right? It is not that. It is like refrigeration. A new industry has been born. There's a lot of workflow automation which can happen. So, I would encourage you to start thinking about it in your work or in your process. Okay? With that, I want to, if you want to have any questions, you can talk about. Thank you.
Yeah, so currently, like GenAI experiments converting like ratios or probabilities are very low, like 1.5 to 2% around. So, like, how would we impact in the long term? Like, it will be taking more time to convert and it will be taking more capital investment. So, what do you comment on that?
Okay. So that is a very contested number, right? I know there's one study from, I think, Harvard Business School that you're referring to. Uh, the sample size was very small, right, for that study. So that's one part. But there is some truth to it. There was a lot of there are a lot of experiments, right? A lot of POCs which happen. Right now, if you see, people are moving beyond POCs. So when I have those conversations, people are just not interested in POCs, right? They say POCs are done. Now we want to do MVP. Having said that, right, there is no every technology. If you have seen that Gartner's hype cycle, that is one thing I do agree with, right? There is going to be a hype, right? And when it's at the top, there are a lot of POCs happening, and they don't convert, which means there is going to be some disillusionment. It is inevitable. And then there is a plateau of productivity, right, where people actually start realizing value, where the conversion rates are higher, where the expectations are more aligned. With GenAI, two things are happening, right? Whereas one technology is going through this, something else which is coming along. For example, it was just a chatbot. Then you have agents, right? Then you have something else. So it's like not a single way, but multiple ways along. So while one of them is down, the others are actually. So right now, if you see, there are a lot of Gen AI, chatbot, and enterprise RAG or retrieval augmented generator, which are seeing a lot of value. Right? Almost with all of our clients, we're seeing a lot of value. At the same time, there are others which did not quite work out. So it goes on. The initial hype is always there.
Hello, sir. Thank you for the speech about it. In Gen AI, where you discussed about like when we are learning here in MBA program or students who are learning, when we are going to an work environment, and when we want to use AI there, like when your PPT you show, it was written there as a Harman confidential PPT. So when we are using it, it's not like sharing our data with the AI, and if the company will not be inclusive about it, right?
Right.
So the point of using this PPT in the work environment. As a student life, it is okay. We are surviving on it for some part,
Yeah.
but in the work.
Sure. So here is the interesting thing, right? When you talk about AI specifically, there are some things which are open. Right? The ChatGPT that you are using in your student work, that is open. Whatever you send, they can use that to train their models, which becomes a privacy concern, a security concern. Enterprises still have it, right? But what we use, for example, is an Azure OpenAI subscription. So we have and almost all enterprises who are right now using GenAI, they have these specific subscriptions and terms with say Azure OpenAI, which legally binds Azure to never train on your data. That's one way. The other way is a more drastic way where you actually have small language models in your premises who are doing the same work as say large language models. But there are there are legal. So whenever I use something, right, it is with my company's consent because it is the company Azure OpenAI that I use, and I have been given access, not everyone. So there are guardrails in place. And what I can say is by the time you are going to get into an enterprise, this is not going to be an issue. You would still be expected that it's not like you take your code, go home, and use your own personal chat GPT and upload. That is never going to happen. That is a security risk. But you using that code with Copilot, which is provided by your office in the ID, it doesn't. That is totally.
Uh, Thank you so much, sir, for this keynote session. And also congratulations on the Wipro deal with your DTS view. So I was just reading around the life sciences work that you do at your DTS view. So my question to you was, when you are exploring these initiatives in life, that is well-being, life sciences, and all these things, what are your holy grails in these businesses, and what is the ideation or the think tank going on when you are going into such privacy-related projects that is clinical? So nobody would, of course, would like to have their medical records open. So what is the process that goes on?
Right. So I think somewhat related to the previous question, and when I said small language models, right? So that is one example of what we have done. For one of our clients, I cannot name it for purposes, we had to go to Germany and we had to actually use a small language model to read those clinical tests and doctor notes. And we have to install this in the hospital premises. So that's like one of the examples of, and healthcare is as you rightly pointed out, is one area where you cannot have these, and they're very strict on compliance. Even in other cases, we still have industry experts who talk to us about what are the compliance metrics that are, whether it's HIPAA, or it's GDPR, or it's anything else, for the industry, so that whatever we do, right, and we have a very large content offering group which looks at clinical protocols and generating data from clinical protocols, but we ensure that this is in line and in compliance with all the standards which are there, industry specific and location specific. I can take one last question. Yeah. Yes.
So is that problem being tackled right now? And is AI agents that efficient?
Okay, so two parts. The first is psychophancy. Right? For example, every time I ask a question to ChatGPT, the first thing is, "That's such a sharp question, Dr. Mahindra." Okay, good. And somehow all my questions are very sharp right now. But yes, that is a problem. That is a problem more at a large language level itself, which I would say OpenAI is right now trying to solve. They are, if you see, if you have used this, right, often they will give you two choices, right, for the same question, A or B. So that way they are training their models, they are trying to understand, whether agents are really saying yes to. The other part to it is also hallucination, right? It may not just say yes, it will hallucinate, it will give an answer. So that's definitely one area where a lot of research is going on. I am very one is you can have metrics around it. When you're putting a system in place, we do have metrics where we do with the sort of training data, or golden data set, where we actually take measurements of faithfulness, contextualization, all of these metrics are there, where you can actually judge and evaluate the LLMs on specific challenges like this. So it's not a solved problem, but there are ways of tackling and controlling the problem right now.
And so you mentioned that when we graduate, the AI world is going to look much different than it is now.
That
So
is-
how do we as students keep up with this technological advancement?
Okay, so I'll give you an example, right? One thing that I do, and I heard a lot of people when I said which Gen AI tool you said Perplexity. Every Monday morning, I have a set query. What happened in the world of AI agents in enterprise workflows last week? Give me a quick summary, right? And it generates a very good summary, right? So my answer to you would be, it's a new area, it's changing a lot. So use things like that, right? Read a lot, but AI can also give you very good summaries of areas that you are interested in. So keep experimenting and keep reading. That is what is.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think.
Thank you so much for this wonderful session, sir. It was truly insightful. As a token of our appreciation, we are honored to present a special memento to our esteemed speaker. I now invite Senior Coordinator Ajinkya to come to the stage to present the memento. Please. I request everyone to remain seated, please, while we get ready for the panel discussion. family into the team. We will now commence the second panel discussion for the day. The topic for this session is the future of workflows, automation, agility, and scalable efficiency. This discussion will explore how modern businesses are transforming their operations by adopting automated, agile, and scalable workflows that redefine performance in a rapidly evolving landscape. We will delve into how organizations can leverage intelligent technologies, streamline processes, and adaptive systems to enhance speed, accuracy, and operational resilience. By embedding automation and agility into their core strategies, companies can strengthen efficiency, elevate decision making, and position themselves for sustainable, future-ready growth. It is my pleasure to introduce the panelists for this discussion. Mr. Alok Kumar, with over 25 years of experience in supply chain management, brings deep expertise across warehousing, containerized movements, refrigerated cargo, domestic and international air freight, international courier services, express cargo, and road freight. He began his career with TCI and Gati in 1990 and spent 13 years across multiple locations in India, where he also headed the SAARC countries business, establishing Gati branches and strategic tie-ups across the region. He later served as Vice President at Agility Logistics for 8 years, managing P&L for a 350 crore business with a workforce of 500 across freight forwarding, warehousing, transportation, and product cargo. He is currently with DHL supply chain for over 5 years, overseeing 2.5 million square feet of world-class warehousing and transportation operations. I would like to request Junior Coordinator Akhil to kindly come up on stage and felicitate Mr. Alok Kumar with a bouquet of flowers. Can I please request Mr. Alok Kumar to come to the stage? We next move on to Mr. Dheeraj Tripathi. He is an automotive industry veteran with nearly 3 decades of leadership experience across B2B and B2C sales, global business development, EV startups, P&L management, revenue growth, and strategic alliances. He has held senior leadership roles with leading organizations including Piaggio, Hero MotoCorp, Bajaj Auto, Castrol, Honda Cars, Mahindra and Mahindra, and Daewoo Motors. Until recently, he served as Chief Business Officer at Rosmota Group, leading the overseas expansion of multiple business verticals. An alumnus of IIM Ahmedabad with an MBA from Utkal University and a mechanical engineering degree from Bangalore University, he is also a keynote speaker, leadership coach, startup mentor, and a recognized top leadership voice on LinkedIn. Beyond business, he is an accomplished canvas artist with multiple solo exhibitions. I would like to request Junior Coordinator Ronak to kindly come up on stage and felicitate Mr. Dheeraj Tripathi with the bouquet of flowers. Can I please request Dheeraj Tripathi sir to please come to the stage? Our next panelist is Mr. Gaurav Anand, who is a seasoned leader in data strategy, analytics, and digital transformation with over 20 years of experience driving business impact through data. He currently serves as Head of Analytics at ANSR, partnering with global enterprises to build and scale advanced analytics capabilities through global capability centers. Previously, he was head of data and analytics at Diageo India, where he led enterprise-wide data democratization and advanced analytics initiatives across sales, marketing, finance, HR, legal, and supply chain. His earlier roles include leadership positions at Dell, Symantec, and RMSI, spanning pricing analytics, product management, and business research. A recognized thought leader, he is a frequent speaker at leading industry forums and remains passionate about mentoring future leaders and championing data-driven organizations. I would like to request Junior Coordinator Tejaswini to kindly come up on stage and felicitate Mr. Gaurav Anand with a bouquet of flowers. Can I please request Gaurav Anand sir to please come to the stage? Mr. Aniket Joshi is Assistant Vice President at JP Morgan Chase, leading process improvement and future state automation design with a focus on agentic and robotic process automation. His work has been recognized with the JPMC DEI Champion Award and the CEO Impact Award for client centricity. Alongside his corporate role, he teaches at NMIMS, delivering courses in manufacturing processes, total quality management, and operational excellence. A seasoned TEDx speaker with 7 talks to his credit, he is also the lead vocalist of Bolly and Ensemble, bringing creativity and storytelling into everything he does, making him uniquely positioned to moderate conversations on the future of workflows and human AI collaboration. I would like to request Junior Coordinator Arpita to kindly come up on stage and felicitate Mr. Aniket Joshi with a bouquet of flowers. Could I please request Mr. Aniket Joshi to come on stage? I will now invite our moderator Aniket sir to lead the discussion. Over to you, sir.
Check. First of all, a very good afternoon slash good evening to one and all present here. We're looking forward to have a very engaging discussion with our seasoned panelists here, right? I feel really privileged to be sharing the stage with all of these stalwarts. I'm just trying to fit in somehow, right? And we'll try to create a very engaging environment when we kind of go through this discussion, right? And just to establish the theme, right? First, it's about the future of workflows, automation, agility, and scalable efficiencies. So, I mean, when you talk about workflow transformations today, right? It is the backbone of all the modern enterprises as of today. And previously, we used to have this option that, okay, sir, do you want to automate or do you want to digitize? It is no more an option. It is something which is a competitive necessity as of today, right? So that's where I wanted to just set the context up front, right? And then I would just like to start sir, with a very open question to all of you, right? How do you look at the future of workflows and what's the biggest shift which in general the companies must embrace as of today? So maybe we can go on sequentially, maybe starting with Gaurav ji.
Sure. Good one, Aniket. I think that's a very pertinent question. And the previous section also dealt a lot around the changing requirements, the way AI is evolving, Gen AI is evolving. So how we should fast pace ourselves to continue with the momentum that the technology is evolving, right? So while you can continue to do automations, you can continue to do scalability of your digital goods. I think the critical success factor of the new age orgs will be around the agility part of it, right? So how agile you are, how nimble you are, and how faster you are to turn around things without breaking the system, right? I mean, that's going to be a main game changer for any organization, and that will differentiate I'll say a born digital organization versus a legacy org, right? So I mean, legacy orgs typically will take time, and logically so because they have a lot more
complexity in their ecosystems, their architectures, right? A lot of stuff around that, but doesn't come in with that baggage. So it's a lot more easier for them also, but the mindset of rigidity, I think, will be the game changer.
Questions, Gaurav. Alok,
Audible? Yeah. I think if you see from the supply chain point of view, so we can always make a comparison what was about 2 or 3 decades before. There has been a complete sea change, and the way the digital process has come into the system. And I just want to quote one example for the better understanding of everybody. Say we do the distribution for the Tata Motors, and it is approximately 3.5 lakhs square feet. So you can understand what would be the size of 3.5 lakh square feet. It will be approximately 10 times of this auditorium. And then 40,000 issues. So issues is nothing but the parts are there. And we have got 80,000 locations. 700 people work there in that facility for doing the distribution across the country. So you can understand manually how difficult it is to handle the business there. So it comes the digital way there, the WMS system, the automation, the processes, the workflow, and everything is evolving every coming year. And this is how at this point of time, if you see the service level, if you see the fill rate, it goes to 99%. So that sort of sea change has come on it. So I just wanted to debate with one of the examples. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Aniket. I think we are a very diverse panel, so we'll have views from across industries. So after supply chain, I think now I'll speak a bit about the auto industry, where I'm close to 3 years now. So in auto industry, I think phase-wise, I'll say improvement. So now we are into digital scalability. So a lot of workflows which, as Gaurav said, in the legacy system, they used to sit, for whatever good or bad you say, it used to serve the purpose. But gradually when, the organizations started realizing about how to improve efficiency, how to improve turnaround time, how to get the zero defect thing, and then all these MNCs are coming into India. So I've seen a lot of shift happen in the auto industry, and now what you are seeing in this EV domain is the next level. Now you are seeing all the telematics at play. Over the air updates are happening in all these EVs like Ather and all, and everyone has now started investing into R&D, and a lot of telematics and electronics and AI related things. Not just in EVs, even production side, manufacturing side, supply chain side, everywhere now this whole movement has started. So it's a very interesting time, and I think a very relevant topic we are going to discuss.
thank you, Dheeraj, and thank you, Gaurav and Alok. Gaurav, I just wanted to bring in here with respect to legacy systems, right? As of today, even considering a giant bank, a giant US bank, it relies a lot on the mainframe system. And a major problem which these organizations are facing is talent. Because we are upgrading our education, right? And this mainframe education goes back to 80s, 90s, 70s, wherein people have actually built these systems. But now the banks are kind of searching for this talent, and this talent is unreasonably highly priced, right? So, I mean, how do we look at this transition, and I mean, how will it happen? It is, we're still dependent, right? We are moving to cloud slowly, but still dependency lies because legacy brings in its own robustness, its own simplicity, its own kind of bitwise kind of an approach, right? So, your thoughts on that, sir?
I think it's a tough one to answer in a straight, right? But I think it's about the leadership mindset here, right? So I don't see a reason why your mainframes can't move to clouds, right? I mean, there's no reason for that. It's just that we have not been comfortable. We always have believed, I think, in the previous session, we were talking about the same, that always feel that we'll open it up to the OpenAI or to a cloud or somebody else, and they will utilize a secret sauce in some other ways and give it to somebody else. But I don't think that's going to happen. You should be able to maybe do some proof of concept, go slow and all. But I think for the banks and all, typically, all these legacy banks, you talk about JP Morgan, WNS, your Wells Fargo and all, and they typically are very scared of doing that, want to have the data reside in a particular continent. All those things have been happening for quite some time. It might be a time now to change that mindset, create, if not, they are not comfortable outside world, maybe create their own LLMs, move towards that side of things, and have architecture hosted in a different way. Otherwise, you are going to chase a talent which is going to be obsolete very soon. Right? So the technology is no more required, but you'll continue to strive for it. So you'll not have a talent who will be chasing that, instead they are going to chase something which gets them more money. Right? So it's gonna be AI is the talk of the world, you have AI, ML, right? Other things are all that's what people are also chasing today. And the technology also evolving more towards that than towards the mainframe side of it. So I think that's the reason that has become more of a, I think elephant has to dance in that way, right? I mean, it has come and start being part of that party of AI. I think they have been considerably low or later into the in terms of the entry to that system.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so I've kind of divided this panel discussion into four themes, right? And let's move to the first theme, which is about integrating automation to reduce friction points, right? So, first question, very open, right? Reducing friction versus increasing complexity. So, how do we handle this very trivial kind of a problem, which is a very generic problem? I mean, you pick up any scenario from your life, when you are trying to reduce friction, complexity goes up, right? So how are you seeing these things happening in your respective industries? Maybe if you could throw some light, start from Gaurav and then across.
I think I'll not buy it completely. To the point. Today it is not going to be complex when you are moving stuff which are very very friction driven sort of a thing. To give you small examples, you are doing your weekly reports, daily reports, monthly reports. Earlier it used to be literally what you're talking about. You have to extract the reports, publish it into emails, or shoot it out a particular file into XML server of a client, something like that. Today all these things have been automated. These are absolutely manual touch reports today. All these automations, you can drive insights of it. The insights will be hitting to the mailbox every day, every week, right? So all those things are happening, and I'll say much easier to execute today with the advent of the technology. Right? So these have become workflows. We have tools which are low code, no codes today, right? So you don't even need to know the coding part of it, right? You just need to open up a workflow, do the drags and drops, and it will execute it for you. You have to do a scheduling part of it. That will happen at that particular time of the day or time of the week. Right? So I think we have gone away with it. It's like most of the repetitive tasks, which are very high on volume, I believe, I think, if not all, at least 80-85% of them can be automated, and they are happening as well. Right? I'm not saying here, but things are happening like that. In fact, I can tell you by my experience, most of the clients I work for, everybody hates manual intervention. Right? So everybody says, well, we don't want manual interventions to come in, because the more you have that, the more errors will be creeping in. So we want completely autonomous systems in that way. I want the report directly from your servers to our reception sites. That's it. So I think even from the demand side or from the execution side, I think it's a good space for.
So just, in continuation to what he mentioned about it, and the same, and the same path. I would like to mention about when you talk about the RPA, which is the robotic process automation, and how industry is using this point of time. Say, 10 years back, if you talk about RPA in transportation business, no, everybody was wondering how it is going to be implemented, because generally when you talk about transportation, everybody feels it is a very crude business, it is a very fragmented business. But you trust me, I just want to give another example. What happens? Suppose I'm doing a business for L'Oreal, I'm doing business for Skoda, I'm doing for Tata. Every month there will be about 50,000 dockets will be prepared. Fine? And that goes across the country, and the delivery takes there. Earlier, it used to be very difficult task that 50,000 dockets, POD we call it, that is the proof of delivery, and customer, you have to produce those proof of delivery to the customer. That was a very Herculean task, collecting from different parts of the country, like from Guwahati to Madurai, you have to bring it by courier. Sometimes it used to miss on the way, and it was very difficult. So what has happened now? The system has got implemented, which is the RPA system, and it is a hub and spoke system. Suppose the shipment starts from Pune or Mumbai, it goes to Madurai, and after Madurai, when the delivery takes place, the gentleman has to just scan the copy of docket there, and there is a particular email which is given, and he has to scan to the particular email. And then rest of the whole work is done by the RPA, robotic process automation. And with the shared file, you can see that in the Madurai, who are the dealer, what sort of. This is how the process has got, accommodated, which is giving to the, in practicality, it is giving to the industry. So I just wanted to mention this. This is how the change has come.
Yeah, thanks, Alokji. I think I also wanted to touch upon the RPA, which is robotic process automation, which has completely eliminated hours of manual work, which used to go in a lot of activities in the auto industry, like service activities, warranty claims, logistics, documentation, etc. So all of that has been eliminated and improved efficiency is what we are seeing. So I think in the auto industry, I don't see that complexity has gone up. Rather, automation has improved efficiency and has reduced friction like anything. We have now AI-led visual inspection, which is cutting down the defect detection time from minutes to seconds. I spoke about RPA. Now we have automated demand forecasting, which is helping the plants to adjust their output dynamically. Otherwise, you'll have to, the legacy system used to be that for a year, then 6 months, then quarter. Now we are talking of a daily, not weekly, daily kind of a planning, and the production systems are geared up to adjust accordingly, and it makes the life of guys like us so easy. And we have seen all kinds of disruptions, starting from COVID times, where you have seen both extremes, where production not geared to supply and vice versa as well. But the biggest change that I've seen where the friction reduction has happened is in field service diagnostics. So, about telematics just a while back. So now we have connected vehicles, connected devices. We have telematics about on the air, updates. With this, what we can achieve is outstanding. We can, now detect the problems even before the customer visits the workshop. So it's like a predictive maintenance kind of a thing. And I have also recently learned that the Ministry of Road Transport is working on a project for fleet management in the commercial vehicle segment, where you have huge all these fleet of trucks, which moves the nation basically, the supply chain which Mr. Alok is a part of. It all moves on these trucks. And imagine what kind of efficiency and cost improvement it can do if there is predictive maintenance, AI based, and it tells that this bus is going to break down, so it needs to go, and this is the particular part where you need to change it or get replaced or whatever. In EVs, it is at a different level altogether. Batteries, this can tell in that lithium-ion battery which is used in the EVs which particular cell is defective, and you can just pinpoint and work upon that cell, change it, or do some kind of a thing which improves efficiency. Battery management systems, battery management software, BMS that we call it, is improving. And I think every week, as Mr. Majumdar was saying, every week you have to see what is happening in this domain now. So very, very interesting times, very efficiency-wise and friction reduction-wise, I think it's like a miracle.
Thank you, everyone. So, Alok, I would pass it on for you to give some insight on telematics, but I just wanted to bring in one point, right? I was doing one assignment recently with Tata Motors we wanted to deliver a pitch to the fleet owners. So we are kind of doing a landscape study of what's happening out there, right? It's high time now that people start based solutions based on use cases. So we're not saying you start using EV blindly. I mean, it's a cost concern. I mean, it's not easy to kind of transition from your classic diesel powertrain to an EV powertrain. But now you have got three alternatives to begin with. You have the classic diesel, you have CNG, you have EV. Based on your trends, based on your usage, based on the availability of your charging centers, charging stations, you need to pick, you need to create a proportion within your fleet. That way, I'll have 10 EVs, I'll have 6 diesel trucks, I'll have 4 CNGs. If it's an intercity, maybe from south till the north, I'll go with my classic diesel, right? If it's a Pune, Mumbai, maybe I can move to EV, right? So that kind of use cases are coming in, and the more delay fleet owners do in kind of picking this strategy up, the more loss they are going to incur, because it would be too late, because they will lose the first mover advantage. So that's one insight which I just wanted to add. What do you say?
Right. I think one thing is very clear and very important that any demand should be market driven. If the market driven demand is there, just taking from the Aniket, what has happened. For example, when we go for a bidding to Tata, the procurement team of the Tata or L'Oreal, they say that my distribution 40% should be through EV. So that is the market driven, and the moment it becomes market driven, the service provider has to do that as a service provider as a 3PM. And then what happens? We go to the fleet owner because it is all asset light model. Every 3PM is working, and we go to those what is it? We go to those fleet owner, and then we tell them that you come with this solution, you come to that solution. So there is a drastic change has come in the industry. If you see that at this point, it was nobody can imagine that a vehicle of about 20-25 tons would be operated by EV. But now what has happened? Many companies are coming where the liquid LNG based vehicles are there, where the capacity is more than 20 tons and 25 tons. CNG has become very popular. EV vehicles has become very popular for the last mile. Say example, when we talk about the last mile, it is the downstream. I'm talking about distribution. This sort of change has come in the industry, and I can say, Aniket, the way it is going on, and the encouragement from the government and the incentives, and everybody has become very conscious about that. Just to give a reference, you talk about any big organization like DHL, which is global organization. There is a target which about the nation, and we are talking about the greenhouse gas emission. So when our global MD goes to Davos and Switzerland, and the commitment happens there that by 2030 we are going to reduce gas greenhouse 50%. We are going to be net zero 2050. So that sort of commitment comes at the top level globally, and then down the line it is being driven. So this is how the development has happened.
Okay, thank you, sir. So I want to ask a very important moment, right? And for students, please make a note of this, because this is going to be something which you have a lot to take away from. Okay. So with all these emerging technologies coming into the game, workflows, automation, LLM integrated workflows, right? AI driven workflows, personas, automation, agents, right? What kind of skills do we want in the workforce, which is probably seated here, which they'll hit the market soon, right? And what kind of an approach and what kind of skill sets they should have, even if not having a tech background, right? So maybe someone coming from a commerce background and pursuing, and probably that person is overseeing a tech implementation project. So what kind of skill set should that person up this problem with? So we'll start, Gaurav.
I think in today's world, it's becoming a lot more easier. As I said so most of the technology is moving towards your low code, no code. You don't need to understand the nuances of the coding. You don't need to understand the nuances of technical architecture. I don't know how many sitting in this room will GPT stands for. You don't know transformers are. You don't need to. Point is that, right? So as a management graduate, you just need to, or if I have to hire someone, and most of the ones I have worked for, people today hire for the right attitude. Because skill set, we all know, is changing day by day. You have to evolve day by day. But are we hiring the folks who are ready to be very agile and nimble and be very quick in terms of picking up those skill sets and moving ahead in life? If you want to stick around, okay, I want to be a only a finance guy who knows my P&L back of hand, right? I mean, all those things, I think, gone are the days, right? If you're picking up even finance, you need to know your FP&A part of it, a bit of a treasury, other stuff, right? Everybody's looking for something which is a lot more holistic and you understand the broader game and you can help the organization achieve some strategic goals like what you were talking about, right? So, I mean, it's all about becoming more of attitude sort of a thing. And you should be very much okay picking up skills which you are not comfortable throughout your career or throughout your academia that you have passed through. So you can come from a non-BTech, non-technology background. You're a hardcore commerce background guy with a MBA degree. But I think it doesn't take anything for you to execute as a transformation, AI transformations and all, because you don't need to know the code. You need to know the law. Okay, this is how the workflow has to be designed. These are my productivity strategic area for my organization and how I have to structure it out. No, I don't see there is a reason why somebody will not pick you up.
Great point, sir. Anup.
On the lighter side, if you talk about JP Morgan, half of the industry bankers are from IIT, right? So this is also so what happened is just Gaurav mentioned that when the demand is there, then the supply comes. If you talk about supply chain, when you talk about transportation, it used to be very crude industry. But now there is a complete transformation. If you talk this point of time, we take boys and girls from Nichi, and the reason is because the market expectation has gone up. When you talk about supply chain, when I go to meet a customer like Dell, or suppose I go to meet a customer like Hewlett Packard, they ask for a solution. Then how you are going to give a solution to me? And then you need a lot of data analytics. You need to have a very good sense of drawing. You need to have a very good sense of overall making a solution for a customer. So a lot of solution designing guys, they come from the very good background there. And this is how the solution is built up, which is being presented to the customer to match the requirement. And what sort of efficiency and cost saving you are bringing in the business. Otherwise, nobody is going to give the business to you. How you are going to use the AI in that process, how you are going to use the ML in the process. And this has become very normal thing because that the demand is coming from the market side. And this is how it is getting implemented. So I think a lot of this skill set, and you are very right, I think when you talk about, one point is there about the evolution and developing the skill set on the job, and second, you take a good skill set from the market, and then you train those people, and this is how the team formation has happened. But if you say punchline, there is a complete transformation in the industry now. If you see all any supply chain big company, you talk about transportation, it is all swanky offices are there, and it is all equipped with all the modern gadgets, and this is how the analysis and all connected control tower is there, central control tower is there, where the person is sitting to have the complete requirement across the country, how the inventory plan should be done, how the distribution should be done. It is all data analytics, which is basis of that.
Yeah, I think I have a slightly different point to make here. Of course, whatever Gaurav and Alokji said is perfectly noteworthy, as Aniket said. For all of you who will soon be getting into the industry and a part of the corporate world, my take is different. My take is that don't just think jobs. You are in IIMs. Think entrepreneurship. That's the need of the hour. Okay, so wherever we see, as soon as ChatGPT was launched and then Chinese equivalent, that why is India lagging behind? And all this IT, story that India has had, I'm not from IT industry, but still taking the liberty to say that, is on the back of services, IT services. We have not been known for IT products. Okay, so if we have to pick up an skill, I can broadly only say this much, that let's think and work on developing a product and not only services. Number one. Number two, entrepreneurship. Now, the way India has moved, 10 years back, nobody knew the word startup. I used to be part of a startup backed by a big MNC. I was in Castrol, how many, 17 years back, 15 years back. And Castrol did a startup. Castrol is leader in lubricants, as you know, and they had stepped out and gone into multi-brand service retail chain. It was called Bike Zone. And it was the first of its kind, multi-brand, organized retail service chain. And I was in the leadership team, and I think those 4 years were the most exciting years of my career. So I know firsthand how entrepreneurs, and then later I did a EV startup as well. And I want to just mention one instance here, maybe sometimes there is a spark with growth. All of you know about Ritesh Agarwal starting Oyo at 21, and this fellow, what is his name, Adit, starting Zepto at what, 19 or 20 years. All are now unicorns. I happened to meet the founders of Simple Energy, which is an upcoming EV startup. And when I did my EV startup, I met them in Bangalore. And the guys were, all the founders were about 23 years. And it's not that they were from IITs or, they were from NITs or some other colleges. But they had the urge for entrepreneurship. And Shriyans Mishra is the guy who is still in touch with me. They are now also they're 25 or something. And they have raised what? They've raised some $100 million till now. Now their bike has come out and they are claiming a range of 248 kilometers in one charge. And in natural conditions also you are getting close to 180 to 190. So they spent 4-5 years developing this. So earlier I started only you can count on your fingers the auto, because the entry barrier was very high. As soon as all these EV has come or alternate fuel is coming, you will see more because the entry barrier is less. Now you need to have a USP, tech-based thing, And earlier entry barrier was high because you need economies of scale, etc. Which obviously, if you want to get into that space, it is there. Ola and Ather, they have raised, millions and millions, billions to reach where they are. But you can make them up, and then the world is all there for you. Acquisitions are happening, pivoting is happening. Startup world is a very unique world. We are too late, maybe gray hairs now, but I still find it very exciting. So that was my take on this.
Grey hair now and no hair now, so just bringing some light move in there. So before moving, I want to move into agile, right? But before that, I just want to highlight a very important point and just wanted to bring Gaurav ji in here and everybody from a software development or a product development standpoint, right? How is process discovery from a requirement gathering standpoint? Where does the process mindset fit in? Because I don't think so that, I don't know which curriculum is actually teaching systems thinking or maybe a process mindset or one subject only related to process, which can probably fill this gap up. So would like to bring you in here.
I think it's not going to be a subject it's going to teach you. I think it's a native thing to an individual, right? So how conscious you are when it comes to attention to the detail, it goes into that, right? And you'll not be able to automate anything if you can't follow the process, right? So if you have to create productive stuff and all, you have to map end to end each individual step in the entire value chain or entire comes innate to a human being. But I can be taught in a way that yes, you can start playing up smaller processes, trying to automate it out. If you will do it with your hand, 99% chances you will pick it up, right, as a skill set. And that's why you have to skill yourself up. I don't think any classroom can teach you out, but I think maybe creating in your own agent. I think give this as a live example to all of you today. If you're buying a chat GPT, even a monthly license, pro license, there's an option to create an agent on your own. You can do very small agents. You can do a daily summarization of a mailbox. You can do right, all those things. You can create those agents for yourself. Try doing it. You will understand the nuance of what you're talking about, the process gaps, what each of the process takes in. You will see that the first agent will fail. Right? Then you will pick out, okay, this is because it failed. Then you go to the next iteration. It has to be an iterative process, but I think you will pick it up very quickly. It's a light thing that a person should pick it up versus getting into a classroom session.
Sure. I think when we talk about the process, I think process is the bedrock of the operation. If you talk about that, take example. Whenever we start any business, any operation, the first point which comes to our mind that we talk to customer and then we make the SOP. That is the standard operating process, right? That is the main thing. We agree with the customer how the execution is going to take place, and then it doesn't stop there. After that, we need the work instruction. So work instruction we prepare for the, for each person, each worker in the local language, in English also, so the person can understand and he can operate and follow the same process. That is the second point. But when we talk, I just want to give the importance of the process. Suppose in operation, it is a huge operation which we keep doing the different facilities and warehouses. But there's a lot of, you talk about the lean process, you talk about Six Sigma, you talk about we have our own process which, and the name of that process is OMS. We call it, this is Operation Management Services. So there are 12 wheels are there, and I just give you a very interesting example. Suppose I have got 200 workers with me. So the one of the wheel and one of the process is to take the feedback from the workers, and we call it performance dialogue process. We call the workers, take the feedback that what sort of challenges you are facing, and if some worker is the top 5, then we also take the feedback from those workers, and then we try to integrate the same thing in the process. So these are the things which we integrate and then we move forward.
Kind of quality circle concept.
Right. So,
Yeah, I think another kind of a different aspect which I want to add here is that all this franchising business that we see everywhere. Now franchising is everywhere, McDonald's or Pizza Hut or whatever. And when, many years back when we got into this startup, cash-based startup called Bike, and it was a service business. And when you had to replicate service SOPs to say 200 outlets across India, which are each franchise, not your own, then the challenge is how do you standardize? A customer, if you go to any McDonald's across India or globally, you get the same look and feel, you get the same kind of, potato, whatever, right? So then, at that time, we came to know that there is something called the McDonald's Red Book. You guys will come, you keep training. Aesthetics was the easiest part. You have corporate identity programs. So then I learned about this, the SOPs or standardization. And even for the automation that we're talking about, the workflow automation, which is the topic here. I think the way to go, the right way to scale up is first you standardize, then you digitize, then you automate, and then you optimize. So that I feel is the process.
Because I just want to add one point. Sure. So when you talk about the industry, any industry that is automotive or mobility you talk about, or you talk about the food industry, the targets are very tough. Because the customers come forward and they say that the defect ratio should not be maybe 50 ppm, which is the part per million. So that sort of stringent, the clauses and the KPIs are coming, and there is a huge penalty for that. So that is also, pushing the process very strictly, and that is the only way to, stop and deliver the expected result.
Absolutely.
Just to add on, to make life easier, in the software side, today we have SaaS-based softwares which will run on your machine. You run the process, they will do the entire process just for you. Yeah? So even humans don't have to do it, so there are SaaS softwares available for that. So making life easy.
Yep. You're probably taking my job away, it seems like. But I'm doing a good job because I'm filling in the gaps which probably process mining and process discovery tools are missing upon. One point there, right? If when you have 20 specialists working on a particular process, they have their own way of doing their own things, right? Which kind of brings in randomization in the process, and where the softwares also kind of get disturbed. So so mine is intact. It looks like. Okay, let's move to Agile. A very compelling question, Gaurav, we'll start with you. They keep preaching Agile, right? They have brought in Jira, Align, whatnot. They are saying user stories, user story point estimation, product backlog, user story refinement, all the jargon terms which I call them, right? Because I'm practicing it on a daily basis, but what I see realistically is waterfall happening on the ground, and just wanted to have your thoughts around that. Do tech guys, software engineers, still hold the key to this that okay, maybe the effort was 15 minutes, and I quoted it that oh no, I'll require at least an hour to do this. And when you kind of have 3x kind of a code there, multiplied and then gets magnified as well on a large scale basis. So how do we solve this problem of actually becoming agile and not preaching it?
I think this is more to do with the leadership mindset, I say here. So a lot of companies say that okay, we are very strong on agile, we follow a Kanban, we follow like multiple jargons as you're referring to. But when it comes to the final performance review, they want zero deviations from their targets. Then it's not an agile mindset, right? So if you can't change your goalposts, then you can never follow an agile mindset. I mean, you have to give a playground to your employees when it comes to the productivity side of it. They may fail sometimes. Thus, an organization has a ability to absorb those failures. They can put a certain threshold. I'm not is a 10K failure allowed? Is 20K failure allowed? What is it to do? And that's why I think it's more to do a leadership way. People want to do it. Sometimes you will see in your orgs itself, we are getting into a stand-up, which is a 30-minute call, but people are not discussing just the statuses. They're getting a bit deeper into it, questions and all, which is not supposed to, right? So people deviate from those things because the moment they see a red flag, everybody jumps the guns, right? Why is it happening? Let's get into it. So I think we have to stay away and we need to understand what is transactional, what is strategic, what is operational. I think all these buckets have to be kept separate. The orgs which can keep them separate and allow employees with some sort of empowerment to execute stuff, I think it is doable. But to your point, if they're not doing it, I don't think that's going to be a way forward. If you're not agile enough, I think they will fall apart and you will see the new age orgs more disrupting the legacy orgs. And that's what my take is because that's where the main forte is. So in our org, I can give you a live example. I am coming from a legacy org, just joined a startup in that sense. And over here, the clear narrative is if we are not going to disrupt, we are not going to be agile, who it will be. Right? So we have to disrupt the big boys. Otherwise, it's never going to be argued. So that's the mindset with which startups work.
Sure. I think what is important is about the flexibility, and the organization needs to be flexible. And that is the reason when you talk about most of the big organizations, whether it is a $90 billion organization or $100 billion organization, the process of operation is asset-light process. And nowadays, as Gaurav mentioned, that there is a lot of ramp-up and ramp-down requirement is there in the market. Suppose the festive season has come, then it can ramp up to a great extent. And if you are asset heavy, then it becomes very difficult and challenging in that case. So what we do there, generally, and that is one of the reasons why companies like all the global top companies, we talk about Cisco, we talk about Dell, we talk about L'Oreal, we talk about HP, everybody uses 3PL because there is a flexibility. And what we do, we have a group of service providers, and based on the requirement, we keep ramping up and ramping down the requirement. And this is how it becomes cost effective. And just to give another example, when we talk about organizations like DHL, we have a huge server location in Malaysia some time back. But now we are shifting to the Google cloud computing because that's the way forward. What you use, the scalability, right? And those are the factors you're going to use there. And the second example I will mention about that, when we talk to manpower service provider, the requirement of the customers are very dynamic this point of time. Suppose this Skoda is manufacturing a particular model of vehicle, it can be in 1 month only 200 vehicles, another month it can be 5,000 vehicles. So we keep tuning the requirement as per the requirement of the customer. And you need to be agile and flexible and asset-light to cater the market. And this is how all of us are tuned accordingly.
I mean, that was agile from a software development and definitely supply chain standpoint, but would love to have Dheeraj sir's thought on this because he'll definitely have something else because agile, I mean, he is more of a hard think of guy, right? I mean, just hitting it out of the park out there, right? So I'll pass it over to him.
Yeah, so thanks, Aniket. You are right. I have two paradigms here. One is for the legacy companies and one is for one of the most celebrated startups, Ola. So first coming to legacy companies where agility, was missing earlier because of inertia, because of hierarchy, stuff like that, because as soon as there are kaizens, there are all these concepts which have been coming here. You just said all those fancy words, but they'll not get implemented because then there is a hierarchy. You need 3 or 4 levels of approval. If it is going for multiple layers of approvals and then it is going to happen, then the agility is gone. It is dead. Similarly, the fear of failure. If someone is trying to do a Kaizen is like making improvement in the workflow or in process so that there is efficiency improvement or cost improvement, etc. And he's trying to do that and to improve agility. And suppose he makes a mistake and then he's penalized for the mistake, then the spirit will go off. He will always be scared and others will always be scared. Let's do it this way and just do our jobs, and that's about it. Let's not think too much. So that's a mindset which has to happen. And when such mindsets happen, just going slightly, Indigo Airlines, which is known for being the most punctual airlines. So once when I was in Bajaj, Aditya Ghosh, who was the CEO of Indigo Airlines, he came and he gave a keynote lecture. And I was thinking, in fact, I think I asked also, what is the secret sauce? All airlines are operating there only. DGCA is same for everyone. All the rules are same for everyone. What is it that you guys are doing so that you are able to, stick to this promise of yours, which is the single most USP of Indigo Airlines, being on time. He said, no, every day we try something new and small improvements. So we'll say that go and meet the DGCA guy. We got this ramp thing, which is a unique thing, even now no other airlines have it. And many other small things. There is no secret sauce. Every day we encourage ideas. And the guy who's there, who moves that thing, whatever aerobridge, whatever you call it, he gets the best idea. And then we implement it, and that's how it is. So mindset, and then once mindset happens, then you need to have enablers in place, process enablers, digital dashboards, having these kind of contests, encouraging and rewarding such guys who come with such improvements, and then something happens. Now I'll come to this new age, Mr. Bhavish Agarwal, the Ola guy. When he came, there was a lot of promise because he had already delivered Ola as the cab service, the ride-hailing service, and because of that, he could get a very good venture funding from SoftBank, Tiger Global, whatnot. Everyone on earth was willing to fund Mr. Bhavish and Ola. Then he said, I'll follow D2C model, which is direct to customer model, which is what Tesla did. Because till now, Bhavish thinks he's Elon Musk. So, without giving a thought on what is happening on ground, I mean, how is US different from India? He just said, we'll go with D2C model. So what happened? A guy sitting anywhere in Northeast, any city of India would go online, book the scooter, Ola scooter, and then there'll be online processing of his thing, registration, this, that, and then he'll get his delivery. Leh Ladakh also, if you are booking, he's giving. Delivery is happening somehow. He was not bothering about the cost because till then he was not listed, so cost went for a toss. Even if one bike has to be delivered, it was getting delivered somehow. Even if the cost of delivery was more than the cost of the bike itself. And that's also fine. And no dealers. All other legacy players, TVS, Bajaj, Hero, Maruti, Tata, whosoever you can think of, Hyundai, blah blah. Everyone is having dealer network, and you will see in your cities, there is dealer, there is workshop, there is sub dealer, small branch, authorized service center, etc. Even for consumer goods. If there is a problem in your washing machine, there is an authorized service center, the guy will come and change the part. He said no, nothing. He didn't think through. He didn't think through that automobile is a different thing. As soon as you sell, then your life starts. It's not like a TV where your sales is done and then you forget it because hardly any problem comes for years together. Here, the very next day, the guy will come. The battery is not charging. This thing is not working. Something else will happen. Then he had a nightmare. Now he's gone back and now he's making 500 or 1,000 touch points. Ola customer care is calling, but it is essentially dealership. And he didn't do that. And a lot of people said, he had recruited a lot of senior auto industry guys who everyone said that you should do this. How will you service? So this is the opposite of agility. Okay, B2C is agility that you booked and it just came. There was no need for all this thing, making a dealer, appointing a dealer. He's an entrepreneur, he'll put up a showroom, and all the paraphernalia, training, manpower, all those things, investment he'll do, the traditional way. But here the traditional way only will work. I mean, if the bike you do so many other things, Ether is doing. But Ether from day one went for the traditional model of distribution and not on B2C. And now you just see, and you go back and check, Ola was doing 50,000 units last year only, just 12 months back, in a month. Now it is down to 15,000-20,000. It has slipped to 5th position. And struggling. Now they have listed also, shares are plunging. It's very tough times for Mr. Agarwal.
Beautiful point which Dheeraj brought in, right? I mean, kind of an FME approach to entrepreneurship. That's how I'll put it. Let's move to theme 3, right? The third theme is around you. Yeah? I'll start from there? Okay. Because you want to kind of change the pattern. Let's change the pattern maybe. So, scaling operations sustainably using digital tools. So that's the theme, right? Wherein what I would like to bring in is starting from small proof of concepts. So maybe a working model for a college going kid, right? To scaling up to kind of setting up a plant for 100 units, maybe then 1,000 units, and then depending on the demand, probably setting up a manufacturing plant. How to scale? Because it increases the risks, increases the complexities, right? For any small boy to dream, as soon as he has achieved a small working model, he's very happy. That, okay, I have done it, right? But when you want to scale it up, right? How do we do that, sir?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and that's a million-dollar question. Even the big names have faced at some point, or whenever any big brand that you think of was a startup. So Tata Motors must have been a startup 100 years back. So was Hyundai, so was Honda, so was Yamaha, so was Apple. Microsoft started from garage, etc. So first you get a proof of concept. What need gap are you filling? Okay, so you will study all this in marketing, you must be studying. And then your solution. And then the solution has to be tested. Okay, whether it is working or not. And testing also, the sample size should be big. So we once did a tech change in one of the three-wheelers of Bajaj. The DTSI engine, which is patented for Pulsar, which was put in three-wheelers, and everywhere else it worked well except for Africa. Because there the conditions, the Indian conditions were very different. And I was the business head for Africa. And Nigeria in particular, we had nightmare. So with big fanfare we launched, because we had put in about 20 three-wheelers, piloting for 6 months, and the results were good, and there was a thumbs up. So the distributor was gung-ho, he placed an order for 15,000 three-wheelers. 8,000 reached, and 7,000 were in the ship. And we cut the ribbon, we had dealer meeting in Nigeria, all the big cities, and we started retailing. And 10 days down the line, crankshaft breaking, the wall bend happening, people coming with their crankcases to our workshops, all those started happening. Now imagine 7,000-8,000 are already in shift, they have not reached, and whatever is reached is all faulty. And you are in a different continent. How do you address that? A company, big company like Bajaj made this mistake. I mean, all big companies made. Nano was a mistake by Tata Motors. So the issue was that enough testing was not done. So you have to test out, you have to see if you have proof. I'm not talking about just physical product, even if it's a service, whether it works, then it has to be scalable. So is it a very niche problem or a very large problem which can be scaled up? If it's a very niche problem, then I think your dreams will be limited. Whatever you are, the solution that you are coming up with may not be a very scale worthy. It will not become a very big company. It will be a very small innovation, and that's about it. So in my view, proof of concept and then testing adequately, thinking all the, you have devil advocates, you throw it and get all the negative, you have not thought of. Run it through a lot of pair of eyes and experts, and not so experts, give it to the layman who's there and see what he says, and then do a pilot. Once you do a pilot, be patient, do it for a few months, maybe a year, and then think of scaling. And when your pilot is done, then you go to VCs or raise funds to private equity or whatever. And then you should think of scaling, not before.
Sure. I think the digital way and automation, these are the things to ramp up. When you talk, the volume increases there. I just want to give one example. We have different divisions, and one division is life science and healthcare. And we started a small facility in US in Tennessee, and it was approximately 15,000 square feet initially. And we deployed about 6 robots there. And globally, if you know about the autonomous mobile robot, there are one company from China by the name of Geek, and there is a European company, I think US collaboration is also there by the name of Locus. So they are very popular, and we have purchased about 2,000 Locus robots in Europe and other places, and we have deployed that. Then the business increased about 6-fold in the span of about 6 months' time, because that sort of requirement was there from the customer side. It was not possible to bring so many headcounts and train them, because training a headcount is very difficult. So what we did there, we increased the space because space was required, and you need to accommodate so much inventory there. So we increased the space from 15,000 to 90,000 square feet, and we increased the number of robots from 15 to 60 approximately, 6 times we increased. And you trust me, the productivity of those robots were 2x in comparison to the human interference. And the second point, which is very remarkable, there was hardly any miss because it was zero defect from their side when you talk about that. And when you deploy a manpower, you have to train for 2 weeks to get a certain level of productivity. At the case of robots, it was only 2 hours time. So that sort of transformation and that sort of equipment and the resources are available, and this is how we ramp up so fast and we do the sustainable business. So I feel that is a way forward. Without the digital support and automation, because the labor cost is increasing, a lot of IR issues will come, and a lot of challenges, and cost will go high. So this is the way forward going in the future.
Thanks, Saurabh. Well,
So I come more from the technology and the software side of things and all. So I think the modularity part is very essential here. So if you can do modular parts of it to the entire problem, it helps you significantly when you're going for a scaling part of it, right? So you know which modularity is possible, not possible, and if there are certain issues coming or creeping in, you know which module to be fixed, and that is a very essential one. Second is what we call it as a sort of a connective tissue, which connects the entire workflow together. We need to have a clear visibility around that, and whether that is automated sort of automation is possible or not is something you have to look up to. Right? So I mean that is the second part. And the third, which typically works in the data side of things, is what is the fixed and what is the variable. Right? So in the data parallel, so there is the data lake, right, where you decide a single source of truth, integration of all the softwares and all is happening. That is a sort of a fixed structure for you. And your client looking for an analytic solution or a BI visual or something like that, that becomes your variable part. So every client will have its own visuals, different ways of working, Figma methodologies and all those things that you can keep on changing based on the client. But your hard part is fixed, so it becomes a lot more easier to execute it on and scale it up now. Right? So I mean that's another way of looking at it.
okay, awesome. Oh, they gave me 10 more minutes. I was like, it's going to wrap up in about 4 extra minutes.
One point
Yes,
about
sir.
collaboration. I think the modular process is very, very important, because when we also implement at our place, say example, when we do the EDI with a customer, any big customer, we talk about the electronic data interchange, so it should be defined, and that shortens the time period in the tag in that case. Say example, if I have developed with a big organization, it has taken 3 months time for me to find out that what sort of EDI should be there with that organization. But if you do the modular process, for the next implementation, it can be 3 weeks for me. So that is how my IT people also come forward. They say that modular process should be implemented for the faster implementation. So I agree with you, and that's the way forward.
Absolutely. I mean, creating those modules and then plugging and playing and reusing them based on the use cases, right? And wherever a new use case or new problem comes in, create another module for it. So I think that's the good approach for it. Moving on to the fourth theme, right? It's about reimagining the workflow design for speed and long-term impact. So I think speed we have touched upon already. Long-term impact also we'll touch, but before that, I have one very compelling question again. Uh, Considering regulatory, right? I mean, we all work in kind of boundary conditions, right? We do not work in PV equal to NRT environments. We work in very unideal environments with regulatory and external forces affecting us, right? One question we'll start with Dheeraj. Are regulatory acting as enablers for the orgs, or they are more of obstacles, or how do we look at regulatory as such?
Actually, regulatory aspects can be a double-edged sword, but in many cases, I would say that regulatory aspects are a must in a country like India, where in Pune city, if you go, and there will be a couple of people here from Pune, no one wears a helmet. Two-wheelers, no one wears a helmet. A helmet is meant for your own safety, for your own life, not for regulatory aspects. But no one, and I just couldn't figure out why the compliance has been so lenient there from the police side or whatever, and no one wears. I think about 2% people. That's it. But if you go to other cities up north or wherever, rest of the India, you will see there is compliance and people are wearing helmets. So that was just a crude example, but coming back to again the auto industry, say the regulations around Make in India. If this was not happening, all the EV companies were importing from China. So 80-90% things they are importing from China, just doing some value addition here and there, some cosmetic, and then presenting it as an OEM. That was happening. You would recall it is not in distant past. Just about 3-4 years back, there used to be thermal issues. Thermal issues is the crude, is the sophisticated word for fire. EVs catching fire. So many two-wheeler EVs were catching fire because the batteries were imported from China. There were substandard batteries. Then the regulations for batteries came that all the EV OEMs they needed to go to ARAI or ICAT and go through rigorous testing and get the approval done. And a lot of non-serious players got filtered out in this process. This Make India thing. And many of you would recall there were two big companies just 3 years back or 2 years back. It used to be the number one and number two in terms of sales. One was Hero Electric and second was Okinawa. Both of them are history now. Both of them are history. They were number one and number two, not Ola, Ather, Bajaj, TVS, Hero or Greaves. They are both shut because the FAME subsidy which government is giving, faster adoption of mobility, some incentives. Every vehicle they are giving, which they are supposed to pass on to the customers, which they are passing on. But for that, there's a very strict control mechanism they have done. One portal is there. You to input all the details of every sale that you do through the dealers. And it comes later on. They verify whether the discount was passed or not. And on the production side, a lot of audits happened from the Ministry of Road Transport, from Mr. Gadkari. They went and they checked, and they found that they were just importing from China and showing it as made in India. So then those FAME subsidies were gone, and these companies their FAME subsidy reimbursement claims worth about 300-400 crores were withheld, and they never got it, and their entire working capital they were devised and they had to shut shop. So that was very much required to filter out all these non-serious players, and you will see that again now the legacy players are in the top 4, top 5. Hero, Bajaj, TVS, Ola are there, and Greaves is there, and there are so many others which are there. Similarly, on so many things. So my thing is that regulatory thing is good, but over regulation is also. It should not be over-regulated as well. Now slowly, if the FAME subsidy continues for decades, then they will never become self-reliant. The cost optimization will never happen, and maybe they'll bleed on P&L as well. So slowly and gradually they have to keep reducing, so that this is not permanent thing. This is just for a few years, so that the customer doesn't get the initial pinch of switching from IC engine to EVs, and slowly gradually they pull it out and they scale up. Economies of scale kicks in, and they are able to sell at that price without having the government to discount. So taking both sides.
Yeah, I think in short, there is a zero deviation and there is a very strict, communication from our global team, being a global organization. And our MD always says that if you want a peaceful sleep in the night, it is better to comply 100%. So even sometimes we have to be on the higher side. And we are in a very vulnerable industry. There's a lot of manpower, is deployed. Approximately we have deployed 20 to 25,000 people in India only, in one of the divisions. If you talk about all the divisions, it can be 1 lakh population, which we have employed in India. So zero deviation, and we follow very strictly all the regulations. Sometimes even we have to pay, we suffer financially also. But in shortcut, there is no, we don't adopt shortcut in any point of time. So 100% compliance is there. Challenges are there, but a lot of improvement is also coming, and a lot of digital support is coming in the process. So that is a big change which has come.
True. I just belong to that. I think essentially what we are trying to say is too much of governance, right, leads to your slowness in terms of innovation, while too less also will lead to chaos. Right? And that's essentially what we are trying to achieve here. But what I'll say is, to give extreme examples, imagine a robo, we've been talking robots and all, with a GenAI capability. You're just telling it, make this room 100% clean. So now 100% for a robot will be very different. Even an iota of a dust it sees, so to clean it out, it may start breaking the stuff to clean it out. Right? So that's why you need guardrails. You need to define those things. Suppose you say, okay, square root of 2, which is an unlimited series, right? It will keep on computing, and then that compute goes for a toss. Where do you stop those things? That's where guardrails come into play. So I think it's essential. It's not black and white in that. It's literally a shades of grey. Few nuances, like if you talk of industries like alcohol, you need guardrails. We talk of automotives, where people are involved, people might die, right? You need stronger guardrails. So it depends. There are a lot of nuances pertaining to specific industries. Similar, and data is no different. You need guardrails to govern the data. And if you don't do that, I think we were talking about the same, GenAI will consume all of your data that you're incorporating into it, whether it is your invoice, whether it is your own personal data, will start creating outputs for somebody. And if I'm going in, I'm seeing your personal data, and then we are all in the soup, right? I mean, so that's why I think it is good to have, but I think the right balance of fit is much needed, and that's why I think few things are beyond our control as well. So let's appreciate it out versus just clearing it out. So that's how I take it.
Awesome, awesome. So I think for sure great points which were brought about in this panel discussion, and I would like to pass it over to each one of you. Maybe sum up with one sentence or which you want to give it out from this panel standpoint. What would be your message to the students, and then we can move on to a question Q&A maybe. So we'll start with first.
I think from a student perspective, I will strongly recommend, and this is something we look at whenever we are moving to campuses and all, the right attitude and the right agility that you bring it onto the people. Don't be rigid in terms of what your core capabilities are. You have to be very open and flexible in terms of what challenge the organization is going to throw on you. And if you are agile to learn, then there is no dearth of learning, no dearth of growth. So that's what I'm doing.
I think it was great connecting with all of you, and once again I want to say that hospitality which was extended to us was remarkable, and very happy to be here. And second point, I will mention that when we talk about our global leaders, they talk about only one point. Skill set can be acquired, but it is the attitude of the person. We want good people to build an organization for the long term. So have a positive attitude, be open with the team, and that will be the bedrock for the success in the future.
Yeah, I think all of you are amongst the brightest of what we have in the nation. IITs and IIMs are known globally. And so in that sense, you are all fortunate as well. to be, getting your education in such a beautiful campus, so many resources, um, and world full of knowledge, right? So you should think big. Attitude, obviously, as they pointed out, is required, but right now the opportunities that exist for your career growth or entrepreneurship, they never existed even 10 years back. So this is the golden time. It's an equal platform now. I mean, there used to be a lag earlier. Something is getting done in Silicon Valley or anywhere else and coming to us here. But now, it's a global village, and whatever you can think of, you can achieve. So think big, go out and achieve whatever you've been dreaming of. All the best.
I'll just add on to one opportunity over there. So while Infi, Wipro, TCS, everybody has heard, all global organizations know about them. There's hardly any SaaS software which has gone from India, which is for global stature. Think of it, if there's any product you can think of which is a SaaS software from India to the world, there'll be hardly any. Right? So, I'm just talking from an opportunity standpoint, there's enough. So just keep exploring.
Awesome, and I mean, to begin with, it has been a learning experience for me. So try to fit in here, right? The only suggestion which I would give, and being a performer, I'm trying to do multiple things in my journey, right? Pursuing a PhD, working with JP Morgan, trying to teach all of you in the classrooms, trying to go out and perform on the stage, right? The only thing which I'll pass on is, first of all, identify your strength. Secondly, identify what you don't like. Eliminate it early at your stage, so that every day when you wake up, you have a purpose which drives you, which wouldn't limit your timings or which wouldn't limit your foundations. You will be able to open a system at 1 a.m. at night, right? You love your work, you can do that, right? But for that, you need to have that clarity that, okay, what you like or what you don't like. Anything works, right? It's kind of binary. If you don't like something, you will finally land onto what you like, right? So I think I'll pass it over to the audience from here on for Q&A. Is there so much clarity here? Please, sir. Any questions, guys? Yeah, one.
Thank you so much, respected panelists, for the insightful discussion. So one of our operations professor, Professor Millen, always talks about the trade-offs that we have in the operations field. And especially this question is directed to you, Gaurav sir, and thank you for highlighting the part of attitude in the processes of AI and scalability and agility. So my question towards you, sir, is what is the most difficult trade-off when you face between tightening the guardrails for the reliability processes and the operational freedom that teams require in unpredictable and unforeseen circumstances? Thank you.
So again, good question, yeah, first of all, but this is all very contextual. Being part of a previously with a European UK listed entity, my guardrails will hold me accountable a lot more. I will not do anything beyond that. I will just hold myself accountable. If you are being a Indian org, depending on the type of industry that you are catering to, the guardrails become a bit flexible. So I think it is a lot more contextual. It's not binary that okay, you can say okay across industries, industry agnostic. That's not the case over here. I think it is industry specific. A banking guy cannot do any play around with a guardrail, right? He has to adhere to it. The team's flexibility will go for a toss, I know that, but yeah, I mean that's the nature of the beast you're signing up for. And on a lighter note, to give an example, our CEO used to give in Diageo that you can't ask for a leave during your 25th December or 31st because you're signing up with Diageo, known for celebrating life every day everywhere. So you have to ensure that consumers are having fun. So you have to take care of them during those days, but later, yes, you can have fun. So I mean, it's on that note, that's how it is.
Hello, sir. So my question is around what I'm studying as of now in my term two in operations management. So the cases that we study are usually, 20 years back and 15 years back. So there's this one particular case I recently came, through. And so the problem was that one company provided, customization to its customer, which resulted in them producing 4,000 SKUs and which caused inefficiency. And there is this other company, Japanese company, which only produces 40 products and achieving upgrade efficiency. So my question is that in the age of automation and all like AI thing, so how are the companies managing customization, and achieving efficiency at the same time?
Any specific panelists you want to answer?
Any of you or not?
I can start. Okay. Sure. So I think it depends a lot on the organizational philosophy, and I think we have already touched upon light asset models. So most of the legacy orgs will move towards a way where they don't have to invest a lot on the capex. The larger number of SKUs essentially will lead to much more investments in inventories, in your capital expenditures, and all of that. So you have to take a detour of that. So classical example, I've worked in a company called Dell, and Dell was known for it. That's how Dell created itself. And then you want to any sort of customization, you create your laptop on the website and it will get delivered. But today, if you look at Dell, I think they don't do that. Right? I mean, you have to take a call at what stage, once you have created your mark and all, and what is more important to you. And to give a very practical reason, companies which are listed, I think they are more answerable to a general public, and that's where the bottom line efficiencies and all kick in lot sooner. And that's where you will see a lot of these highly evolved organizations which are listed on the streets and all, they have to get away with a lot of these inefficiencies by creating those SKUs. So the idea is to create few hero bundles which sells the most. So maybe you divide that into a Pareto then. So 80% of your revenue should come from those bundles, and rest of it, you figure it out how you manage the inefficiencies. That's one of your looking. So over to you.
I think you've summed it nicely. That's the essence of the answer that the questions that we had posed. Even in the automotive industry, if I have to talk about, all the time, it's also imperative for the companies to launch a new model. So you must be hearing about Honda City for the last 30 years. But every 3 years they come up with a new upgrade, and every 1.5 years they come up with a facelift. Facelift is just a little tweaking here and there, and upgrade is something. So if you see the Honda City which was there 30 years back when Honda had came to India, you will not even recognize. Same goes for all the global marquee brands and models. So, but they have to also see how many models and variants to keep, because as you rightly said, the more number of variants that you have, it's a pressure on the system in terms of inventory. Die, you make dies, right, to make the body parts or other stuff. So that's a costly thing. So if you're making a die, then better have a business case strong enough to sell, that many million units or whatever to take care of the cost which has gone into the die and then make profits. So everything, at the end of the day, he made a point about listed companies. Listed companies are responsible. They have to show profits and they are answerable. Those companies which are profitable, there are lakhs of them, also are responsible. That what were they? Sometimes the results come and then you see that the share price went down. Why? Because the market was estimating a higher profit. So those are things. So at the end of the day, bottom line has to be seen, and complexity also. So in auto industry, again going back, if you have keep changing and you have a lot of variants, after sales will be a nightmare. You will not be having so many SKU spare parts as such. Or any company, the SKU spare parts run into 20,000, 25,000. And we get so upset. We give our bike or car to the workshop, and if he comes back and says, part nahi, I'm ordering the part and I'm getting it, there's an additional burden, VOR, vehicle off-road. If it is not there, we, in Honda, we used to charge 15%, and it used to be set by air. And then obviously he'll either absorb it or charge it to the customer. If he's charging it to the customer, then also it's not good. Because he did not keep it. He did not keep it because it was not coming in the ABC analysis, in the inventory management software that we have. So, I mean, the answer can go longer. There's a lot of case studies I can tell, but that's a long story.
Just one point I wanted to mention. If you talk about any airline, generally they plan it in such a manner that they are going for Boeing or they are going for the Airbus. So initial the number of to a certain number, the aircraft should be from Boeing company only. Because the number of SKUs, their MRO and everything is going to be confined and the faster services will come. If the fleet size increases more than, for example, 50 aircrafts, then only they will go to Airbus. So this is how the process moves there. Yeah.
Just a couple of keywords which I'll put in, probably you can go and revise those. Customer order decoupling point is one. The level of customization which your customer needs to begin with. Secondly, what's the demand? What's the voice of the customer? Consider a Cano model, right? What are the features which the customer wants? There would be a lot of reasons of why a product, maybe it got produced, but why it did not get sell. I mean, why it not sell is something which is critical to product being in the market. How was it launched? Was it tested enough? As Dheeraj also mentioned, that you have to test it well. So I think that's how I'll put it. That's it.
A heartfelt thank you to our panelists for sharing their perspectives on transforming workflows through automation, agility, and scalable efficiency. Their insights have shed light on how future-ready systems can elevate performance, strengthen operational resilience, and drive meaningful progress across organizations. A special thanks to our remarkable moderator, Mr. Aniket Joshi, for steering the discussion so seamlessly, and to our vibrant audience for their active engagement. Your participation has truly enriched the session. Thank you. To express our heartfelt gratitude to all our speakers, we are delighted to present each of them with a special memento. I would like to request Student Affairs Council President, Mr. Neeraj, to please come on stage and present the memento to our guests. I would like to request Mr. Dheeraj Tripathi to please come forward. I would now like to request Business Secretary Dear Desai to please present the memento to our esteemed guest. I would like to request Mr. Aniket Joshi to please come forward. Now I would like to request Senior Coordinator Jishnu to please come and present the memento to our esteemed guest. And I would like to request Mr. Alok Kumar to please come forward. Now I would like to request Senior Coordinator Chayan to please come and present the memento. And I would like to request Mr. Gaurav Anand to please come forward. Now I would like to request our guests to join the group for a group photograph on the stage. Please, sir. And sir, one photograph with the cohort and the entire batch, sir. So if you could go down and sit there.
Sit here or stand?
I would like to once again thank you all for being an integral part of this event. We are proud to have Valcom as a sponsor for today's event, with NG Asset Management as our knowledge partner and Business Standard as our media partner. Thank you for your generous support and for empowering financial knowledge and innovation. As we approach the conclusion of day one of this enlightening event, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our incredible audience for your enthusiasm and active engagement. This has made this event truly remarkable. As we wrap up today, get equally ready for tomorrow, day two, where we explore purposeful branding and mindful consumption. Stay curious, stay inspired. We can't wait to see you back tomorrow.